This passion that you have for this generation, where does that come from?
If you and I were chatting and we were talking about that, people would say they're lazy, they're entitled, they spend too much time on their phone and they're disconnected from reality with people and all this stuff. And you've been on my calls, there's 650 kids and they're dressed to the nines, they have their cameras on, taking notes. They just want to be told how to get better. When they see what better looks like for them in their life, that exposure that you talked about before, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's leadership.
Hey, I'm Coach Micheal Burt. Welcome back to another episode of the Big Table Podcast. I do believe lots of people want to see it at a much bigger table. And if you remember, the Big Table has three components to it. It's highly enjoyable, it's highly profitable, it's highly meaningful. There's three returns. There's a return on your energy, return on your objective, and a return on your investments. So I got a super, super cool guest, probably one of the coolest dudes out there. You see yourself as a cool dude?
Just ask me, I'll tell you.
And this is a new relationship for me over the last 6 to 7 months, Jason Mickool. And man, you really have done a lot of big things. You created a big table.
Trying to, still working at it.
So I want to kind of get into where did that come from? Where did that thinking come from? What kind of environmental scripting that you had? When did it click with you? Because you're really a master at recruiting, training, developing, building, even exiting, right? So,
well, I don't know. I'll say this, right? You throughout my life, I always say for every success I've had, many failures, and every one of those failures I looked at as an opportunity to take an arrow out of the quiver. And then shoot that arrow when it was needed in the right situation. I've told you this story, and I want my wife to do this, and she won't. Yeah. You've met my wife; she's lovely. And about 9 years ago, I was a corporate executive, and it had many different firms. And I don't know. I'll speak for myself on this. One of the things that I enjoyed about the early parts of my career, I was trying to climb the ladder, and had success in doing that. That same success led to me not liking the job anymore, not being in control of my future. And I got reorged or fired from a couple of different positions. And really my back was up against the wall that next chapter, which is, this is December of 2017. I just was talking to my wife and saying, what am I going to do next? What's my next job? I originally thought I was going to be the CEO of a Fortune 50 company. Okay. That was sort of my objective.
Okay.
I learned not quickly, it took me a while, but realized that wasn't going to happen. And all of these positions that I was pursuing paid well. Yep. They weren't like no money jobs, but I wasn't having the impact that I wanted. I wouldn't have the control of my future. Yeah. So we were day drinking one day. She called me a funny word, and she's not that way. And in essence, she basically said, "You're just do it yourself." Okay. So she just got frustrated with me, and recognized the unhappiness that I had and not being able to control my future. And she said, "Well, and it doesn't matter. So if we fail, we fail. We'll go bartend. We'll go live on a Caribbean island. Yeah. It doesn't really matter." Okay. What matters is that you give it a shot and you do it yourself. There's other people that you're more talented than that do better than you do. Right. So that was 9 years ago. In December of 2016, I walked in. I quit my at that time role as an executive. Moved to Florida. Okay. Purchased a home, and literally started what today is called the Florida Financial Advisors, which you're aware of. And what I did is I just took all the experiences of all the things that I've learned over the years, and I applied that into the recruiting, training, and developing of people. Right. Did not realize how big it would get and how profitable it would become, and how successful the business would become. About 5 years in, we got I at that time, now we were making good money, probably about $5 million a year at that point in time, and I was grinding still. Okay. So 5 years into the business, I'm still working 60 hours a week, and
Okay.
pressure's still pretty good. Even though you're making a lot of money, still a lot of work, right? So I'm starting to think, oh, I don't know how much this business is really going to be worth. So I started to just put some feelers out there because I figured that no matter what, I'd have to do 5 more years. So I'm like, okay, well, now, I'm 52, maybe 57. I'm going to be retired. Is there an exit? And I found a company that basically presented to me like what I consider to be life-changing money, which would be for a lot of people.
Right.
They said to me, if we go through all this trouble, will you take it? And I'm 100%. I will take them. I'll take the money. But really, that's not really what it was all about. From the time that happened, we just continued to do the job, and in business, it sort of goes like a hockey stick.
Yeah.
Right. So that first 5 years is really hard. Now the trajectory of that business has grown tremendously, and it's not as hard for me as it was because we're bigger.
Right.
So we've now have about 680 financial advisors, 18 states, 30 locations total, 18 big offices across the country, and we're growing. Yeah. We should finish in 2026 with over 1,000 financial advisors and over 100 million in sales.
Wow.
Which will be less than 10 years.
What do you consider to be your primary skill? If you could boil your skills down into, a sentence or a couple words, what do you think is the primary skill that you?
I don't know. Somebody asked me this the other day. They said, "What's your superpower?"
Yeah.
And I thought about it for a moment. And my wife helps me answer questions like this so she can answer better, is that I've always fundamentally had a belief in people.
Okay.
More than they have in themselves.
Okay.
Now, that's not a skill necessary.
Yep.
It's a belief.
Yep.
But I think the belief comes before the skill.
Yep.
Right. So because I believe in people, and I think that people have the capacity to do a lot more and grow a lot bigger, if they're willing to take coaching and feedback and development and constantly work on their craft, they can achieve amazing things in their life. The skills that go along with that is ability to mobilize people towards mission, vision, values to solve the biggest problems within organization and scale, right? Consistently over time. I call that level 4 leadership.
Okay.
Right. So level 1 is, can you do the job? Level 2 is, can you do the job and identify problems?
Okay.
Level 3 is, could you do the job, identify problems and fix them?
Okay.
Every business has and needs these types of people.
Okay.
But where it really starts to multiply is level 4, which is when you can do the job, identify a problem, solve the problem, and then rally a group of people around a common cause tied to mission, vision, values to solve a problem consistently. Is level 4. And then level 5, which is what I've become, is now my main job is to create more level 4s.
Okay.
So when you can create level 4 leaders that can solve problems, mobilize a group of people without any interaction from yourself, because they're empowered to do so, that's my skill set.
Is that a Collins concept? Jim Collins?
No.
Or is that somebody you studied, or did you, because I remember Collins had levels to leadership.
Yeah.
Maxwell's had levels
Everybody
to leadership.
has. Yeah.
But is that something you created? Because
No.
I like that ascension.
Yeah.
Because some people may have 2 of the 5, right?
Right.
Or 3, but they can't quite get to that next level.
Well, here's the question that everybody asks, right?
Okay.
So that when you hear me say it, there's 2 things, right? You say to yourself, what am I?
Yeah.
Right. That's the first thing you ask yourself. And then you ask yourself, how many level 4s do I have around me?
Right.
And that's a tough question to answer, right? Number 1 is, as people, we overassess our levels, right? Is number 1. And number 2, if we're being honest, you don't have a lot of those people in your organization.
Right.
And I got this concept from a gentleman named Ray Kelly, who's a coach and a mentor for me.
Okay.
And he paints this picture that I really bought into. Says, can you imagine if you had a leadership development factory, right, of level 4 leaders, what would happen to your company?
Yeah.
If you had people that without your help or interaction can mobilize a group of people to solve a problem consistently, tied back to the mission, vision, and the values of the organization, what would that look like in your future? So we teach that as a vernacular.
Right.
Right. So my my skill is in developing leaders, eagerness over readiness. I see people and I fan that flame, and we give them a pathways to be able to pursue the greatest version of themselves in directing and leading people, and how to not manage, leading people. And because of that, that has allowed our business to scale. Many of the offices that we have nationwide have, 70 people in it. I've never been in them.
Right.
I don't, if I walked in there, it would be my first time.
Yeah.
So the reason I've had the ability to do that and not have to be a present leader constantly is because of the ability for me to develop really good, talented level 4 leaders.
Yeah. And I feel like just spending more time with you, that one of your maybe biggest contributions to other people is getting them to believe they could scale something. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that comes up that's come up in several of our conversations. And I really do see, you asked me last night at dinner, like, okay, why don't people just scale something? And I think the first step, you said belief comes before the skill. I don't think they fundamentally believe they can do it. So they look at a guy like you and go, well, he's got something that I don't have. Right. And if you could get them to believe it, that really does change, because you wake up every day and y'all are in the recruiting business, right?
Correct.
Daily.
Some
people think, well, I need a new sales guy, so I got to go get a guy.
Right.
Or I need a new marketing person, they don't think we're really in the recruiting and development business.
Correct.
We happen to be selling this product, right?
The
widget. And I think if you could get people to just make that strategic pivot with their thinking, is like, hey, this can be done. This is really the business we're in, right? And I think that's going to be a big contribution to a lot of people.
Yeah.
To keep them from being so limited, right? Now, where did that come from? We go back a little bit. And I mean, a lot of psychologists say people that do big things develop a concept of themselves early in life.
Yeah. I don't think that
can't be broken by other people. Do you think that's true? Or do you think,
no.
Where did this mojo in you come from?
I wish I had a magic answer for that. There's a lot of influential people in my life, right? But early on, where it started to foster itself and create this, one is a woman by the name of Teresa Hanratty. Okay. She was really tough on me, and I appreciate everything from her as a young leader. Whether it's being late or how you dress, how you show up, right? Yeah. She was never going to let me be late, not show up prepared. She's very process oriented.
Okay.
And she would give me assignments of process. Okay. And then she would be really critical about what those processes are.
I like this.
Which, purpose, process, payoff, and sort of like today I use the impact filter, but back in those days before impact filter was purpose, process, payoff, and here was your project, and what's your communication plan, and she was, she's a Simmons MBA and very, very smart. She went on to be a senior vice president of American Express Financial Advisors back then. When she got promoted, she was succeeded by a gentleman named Larry Post. He's a very, very dear friend of mine and a mentor. And his whole thing, he was like, everybody complicates the business. Oh, one thing about Teresa, one of the things that she taught me was norms.
Okay.
And norms were, the way I describe them, are a list of behaviors of things that used to piss me off about people.
Okay.
Like, so if you don't list how people are going to behave, then you've enlisted them to decide what their behaviors are going to be.
Okay.
Right.
I like this.
So Lombardi time is an example. Okay. When people were late, I'd be pissed. Yep. So I had a norm, and the norm was Lombardi time, and you know what Lombardi time is, right?
Yep.
People would when the BlackBerry first came out, I would run meetings and people wouldn't be present, and it used to piss me off. So I would say, be here. That was a norm. Okay. So therefore, I was never attacking somebody's personality. Okay. I was attacking the behavior that was unacceptable in our organization, right? 70% agree, 100% support. Well, I used to get pissed because I would jam something down your throat, right? And then you would say, yeah. And then we would be in the organization, you do whatever you want. Okay. So these are norms. These are, and I always say it was really baked in the things that pissed me off within the organization that were not explicitly told to you how you were supposed to behave. I learned that from Teresa. And one of the most valuable ones was something called no bad hires. Okay. Probably the one that I fight the most today. So if I hired you and you're going to work for our organization, and you're doing lousy, I can't talk about you in a way that's not positive. I can't say, well, the person doesn't show up on time and they're lazy and they don't do their job. I have to look internally and say, what do I have to do to influence that behavior of that person? Because ultimately leadership drives the bus, right? So when nobody's allowed to make an excuse for the underperformance of themselves or others, it creates a different environment of culture, right? Teresa taught me that. Larry simplified all that, said, forget all that stuff. Just go hire as many people as you can.
Okay.
Load the pipe, he used to say, or pack the pipe, as we used to make fun of him. And he would do these really unique exercises, and he would say, I'm the number one leader. He didn't say it this way, but we had a scorecard. Everything in life and corporate America had a scorecard. There was 12 categories, and one of the calculations was the 12th power calculation. It was crazy. And he used to stand up in front of all us, and he'd take, back in the old overhead projector days, he'd take the sheen or whatever it is, and he'd put two pieces of paper, and there was this one column. It said net gain, which was how many more producing bodies do you have this year than you did the year prior, right? And whoever wins this column will win all of the 12 categories. So that became, and his whole thing was, we needed to recruit. We needed to continue to, and in order to recruit, you get more clients, you develop more people, you expand the rubber band, right? And necessity is the mother of all invention. And what that did is it just kept, and he kept pushing on that, pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And I've carried all that, you know, and that was the basis of the building of the business that we did today.
Interesting. So you and I talk, I love the concept of norms. You know, Covey had norms and mores, what he called them, you know, but it's a good explanation of this, right? Because people want to see under the hood, right?
Yeah.
When you have 800 young people on the phones and they show up and they look good, it's like, okay, what's this guy doing?
Right.
Now, if you did show people step by step how to do it, could they replicate it?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it has to do with the belief, right?
Okay.
I don't think there's anything, if you're a coachable, you're qualified and you're committed, right? And I think you call it, do you have the knowledge or the expertise, right? You have to have some level of knowledge,
right?
Meaning in our business, you can know the products and some stuff. But if you're coachable and you're and you're committed to your craft, then we have the system built. But most people have a limiting belief. They say things to themselves which define how big they'll be able to build their business. I don't want to manage people.
Right.
That makes no sense. Everybody has to manage people.
Right.
Right. I don't want to work that hard. It makes no sense. So if you think about my role today, with the leadership team that we built, we use span of control as sort of like how we build and create roles and develop people. I have 4 reports. I teach 2 classes, 4 reports. That's my week.
Right.
Everything else is just me being a pain in the butt to other people.
Right.
And that was the same when we hired 10 people. So I was like, all right, I've got 10 people. I can only have 4 reports, right? So if I've got 10 people, then I've got 6 people that need to report to somebody else. Very basic concept, right? When I've got 100 people and I can only have 4 reports, and they can only have 4 reports, and they can only have 4 reports, you start to build out your infrastructure that way. You know, one of the things that I think the mistake that people make is they're not clear in terms of what their vision is going to be, and they don't reverse engineer backwards. Right. So when we started the company, I always put this vision out there to say, this is what it's going to look like. And I try to be very specific. How many offices are we going to have? How many people are we going to have? How many leaders are we going to need? Right? What's the diversity going to look like? What's compliance going to look like? What's operations? And then when you can build out that vision for people and say, this is where we're going, I don't know how we're going to get there, right? People can, and they start to rally around that vision. And that's what helps the business. Now, in order to do that, you got to say to yourself, I'm going to build a great business, massive, right? And I'm going to learn how to do it from others. And I think for somebody that has that, they said, hey, I want to do 100 million in sales in the next 10 years.
Right.
You know, I'd like to have a business that's doing 30 or 40 million in profit. I can tell you exactly how to do it.
Yeah.
To the peg in the hole.
Right.
But you have to stop putting the limiting beliefs on yourself to say, "Oh my God, I can't. I don't want to manage people." Yes, that's
Right.
You don't limit yourself.
Yeah.
You're defining what that management looks like in a negative way rather than a positive way, which is I want to build the biggest, best organization that I possibly can to achieve the vision that I have for my own life.
So when you think about some of these concepts, did you study strategic coach? Did you go through strategic coach, or is it just is
I
there some Sullivan?
There's a
I
lot
was
of it.
most fascinated when I first got into strategic coach that Sullivan took 200 free days a year.
Yeah, pretty
Okay.
wild.
And he worked 165 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember asking one of his staff members on his free days, can you contact him? And they said, no, under no circumstance can we contact him.
That's wild.
If the building is on fire, can you contact him?
Blood and fire.
She actually said, no, there's somebody else
somebody else in contact. We got to
at that time it was probably a 25 to $40 million business. This has been 15 years ago, but I was fascinated by this guy owns this business. He's working 165 days. He's off 200 free days to do whatever he wants.
Yep.
And I just could not get my mind around that from this school of grinding that I came from. Like, how does that even possible? Right. Do you find yourself now that you've kind of built this? I mean, do you get bored? Do you like, hey, this is the most awesome thing in the world? Like, how do you think about it?
I don't know. I honestly, this is what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Right. Originally what I thought was if I had a number in my mind and I'm like, when I get to that number, I'm going to retire.
Okay.
Well, more than surpassed that by 5 times the number that I thought it was going to be. And now I'm accelerating, as my buddy says, there's more velocity today in your growth trajectory.
Yep.
You're getting faster and more, but I'm not working harder. And I think that's different. Right. So I don't really have, today I do it because I want to make an impact. You're doing some of the stuff with me. I'm not ready to be done. I enjoy developing people.
Yep.
I'm really passionate about Gen Z, as you know. I want to make a dent and an impact in the next generation of entrepreneurs, and I'm very, very driven to do that. Created the Greatness Lab because I like to compete, and I think there's a hole. I think some of the work that you do with the Greatness Factory and the way you think about things, financial services is missing. So you and I partnered up on this deal. And I think it'll become the largest IMO, or fastest growing anyway, in the country here in the next couple of years. I started a restaurant.
Right.
I have a real estate development company.
Okay.
I'm talking to a guy that builds my custom cars. I said,
Okay.
you're a really cool dude. He's a Green Beret. I interviewed him on the podcast. And now I want to create a classic car dealership.
Okay.
I want him to run it. Right. So, I have cool cars. I make some money on my money. So we're talking about standing up a classic car, buy muscle cars, put a swap in it, sell them, at the auctions. So I don't know. I like to stay moving and stay busy. I think like a lot of people like myself, the idea of, I like to golf, but the idea of playing golf every day is I'm just not wired that way, even though, I enjoy it. So I like building stuff.
Well, you use this word a lot, this phraseology of standing up a business.
Yeah.
And if you said, if somebody come to me and said, tell me about this Mickool cat, I would say he's really an expert at standing up these businesses, right? You could put a lot of those things into that, the recruiting, developing. What do you, when you say stand up a business? Because in essence, I always say, if you have a primary skill, like baking soda, you could use that skill in multiple ways.
Right.
Right. And so same skill, you use it with the car business, with the restaurant, right? You're just standing these businesses up.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are the tenets of standing the business up?
Good question, right? We've done so many of these and have made so many mistakes that today it's really a simple laid out fashion. If it comes with an idea and a vision, right?
Yep.
So you're all right. I want to stand up a restaurant as an example, and it's like, okay, well, I want to build a restaurant. What kind of restaurant do I want to build? I want it to be steak and seafood. Okay. How do you want to be remembered? I want to have a Michelin star.
Okay.
experience in a small community. Like
Okay.
so now all of a sudden you're like, okay, now you raise that bar. Then it's just process. One of the things that people have asked me all the time, I always say, I'm not a great CEO, but I'm a really good operator.
Yep.
Right. So there's a difference between a founder CEO is different than a CEO of a company.
Right.
Not that politically correct. I say stupid shit all the time. But in terms of operating and standing up a business, I'm really, really good at it. And with my wife.
Yep.
And the reason that's the case is because we've just done it so many times.
Yep.
So we know we have the legal team in place to establish the right corporate setup. We have the right internet people to stand up the websites and do the branding and do the marketing and all of that stuff. If it's the GC, if we're building houses, we have the GC team, the plumbing team, we've got the HVAC people. We already have all those teams built.
Okay.
Right. So I don't have to do anything anymore, other than say, make me plans. I don't like this. Go build the stuff. Right.
Yeah.
And it comes out of the ground, and 7 months later we could sell it. If it comes to a sales business like this, recruiting, training, developing is my skill.
Right.
So we know how we're going to package our value proposition.
Okay.
We know what that value proposition is, how we're going to recruit those people, how we're going to, what I'm hoping that you brought to the table is the activation of these people, because I think people are stuck. They do 500,000 or they make $1 million a year. They're just stuck. They think they've arrived. I think you have a unique skill set in that. So that's what I mean. It's operationally the accounting, the compliance, the permitting if it's building something, it's the website, the internet, it's all of the pieces that it require.
Yeah.
If you're going to start a business tomorrow, one of the first things I say is, well, you need to write your value proposition.
Yep.
And you need to build a website.
Right.
Right. And you need brochures and you need marketing in order to be able to stand that business up. And then when you collect money, how you can collect money.
Yeah.
Right. And how you're gonna run your P&L and how you do your compliance and how you're gonna recruit and onboard and train people. And to us today, that's very simple, just because we've done it so many times.
Yeah. Hey, this is Coach Micheal Burt. I'm here at the Greatness Factory today, the Level 10 podcast studio. And as you can see behind, I got new imaging. I got a new concept. The big table is a metaphor for the biggest opportunities that are available to you that you're trying to work toward in your life. We're going to go to work on activating 3 parts of your nature. You first, that's science of winning. That's habits of the top 1%. That's the language that we use every single day. That's the activation of prey drive. That's the A to B exercise that we do. And then we're going to go to work on your business. And the business is got these 6 core components, right? The activation of your team's prey drive, the explanation of value, the lead generation system, the follow-up and conversion, the engagement after the sale. We then move to activating your wealth. 8-figure people stuck in 6-figure vehicles. How do we expose you to some of the best thought leaders in the world as it relates to what's going on in the market, how to make investments, how to raise capital, and put all this together, folks, and we are getting a seat at a much bigger table. I'm Coach Micheal Burt. I can't wait for you to see this podcast. It's called The Big Table. We're going to help you secure your seat there. Follow along, engage with me, hit that subscribe button. We talk a lot about the vehicle.
Yeah.
Right? And lots of people get into vehicles. Would you say that because the more we talk, the more I'm seeing more limiting belief in people, because they'll say, well, this is a hard business to scale.
Right.
Okay. I hear that a lot in the coaching business.
Yes.
It's a hard business to scale.
Yeah.
And it probably is true if something happened to Tony Robbins.
Correct.
That business would be in trouble.
That's right.
We saw what happened when Zig Ziglar passed away.
Yep.
The Ziglar, right? Because it's just hard to be Zig Ziglar.
That's right.
Right. Cardone, Coach Burt, whomever.
Yep.
Do you believe that to be true, that there are certain businesses that are just hard to scale and it's a bad vehicle, right, that you're choosing to distribute your talents through? Or do you believe, hey, I could take this thing. If I applied my know-how to Coach Burt's business, we could scale that puppy.
Yeah.
Tell me your beliefs about this.
Yeah, I think I could scale it. But part of it is that people get invested and they are remember, you are the problem, you are the solution in life, right? And you create your own problems. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the challenges, I think, with the coaching business, as an example, is that you become the face of the business, and without you, it goes away. The Tony Robbins model, if you will, I think, I don't know much about these things, and I've learned only what I know about it from you.
Yeah.
Is that there's got to be an army of salespeople that do that,
Yep.
right? But what is it that you sell? And what I think is you sell belief.
Yeah.
And if you sell belief, I think you could create tangible businesses with belief that people have, that if you say, do something. I think that's what Grant's figuring it out. He's hoping to get away from the coaching business,
Right.
and then using that platform to actually stand up sustainable businesses going forward. Because people say, you know what, I believe in Coach.
Yep.
And if Coach says that the best place for me to invest my money, or the
Yep.
business ventures that I should get involved in, or how I should scale, is to give a percentage of equity or whatever that may be, I think you could scale that. There are businesses that I think are not as good.
Okay.
So the ones that I struggle with is any business that that does the buy and the sell, the
Okay.
manufacturing and the distribution.
Okay.
Right. I think that's a tough business.
Okay.
Meaning, I have a friend of mine, he's really like a family member to me. He's like not directly related, but basically, and they sell used medical device equipment.
Okay.
Right. So, which sounds really cool, but he has to find the used equipment, meaning where is it that I can buy it?
Right.
And then who can buy it from me?
Okay.
So he has to, I was like, do you make money on the buy or the sell? And he goes, well, I make money on the sell, but I have to supply my own equipment. And I was like, it seems like somebody else should be able to do that.
Okay.
Right. The wholesale real estate business.
Right.
Are you the wholesaler? When you wholesale a property, you got to find the property that's distressed, and then you got to find a buyer for it.
Yep.
What I keep saying to the people that in that business is, why don't you just go find more buyers of real estate that's not depressed?
Right.
Right. And then go hire 100 people to do that. I think whenever you're on both sides of the transaction, it's more of a challenge.
Yeah.
Because you're not in control of the decision-making of the person that's supplying.
Yeah.
Right. The product. I'm in the distribution business. I think that's where the money's at.
Yeah.
Right. So what do? We distribute stuff.
Okay.
We solve a problem for a prospective client,
right,
or for a financial advisor.
And what specific problem, so people understand the financial problem you solve for people? What is that problem?
Well, and number one is, and how passionate I feel about having a coach, right? And Tiger Woods had a coach, and most people don't understand, because there's a lot in the financial world, how to manage money, especially middle market people.
Right.
When you're higher net worth, you get a lot of attention.
Yes.
You get the best of the best people providing for your business.
Yep.
When you're in that middle market, you don't, right? So you get advice sometimes from the wrong vehicle, if you will. So you go into the bank. The bank person is not sophisticated in taxes and investments. They're, estate planning. They just don't know those types of things.
Right.
So what we do is we package financial advice.
Okay.
And we sell that as our core product offering. And as a result of that, people invest money and buy insurance and everything with us. Yeah. So we package that value, but we don't manufacture any products.
Right.
So what we do is we sell everybody else's best in breed products because we're a distributor. And therefore they have to come to us to convince us why we should bring that to our clients, as opposed to us being the manufacturer of it. They have to compete for our business, meaning the manufacturers compete for our distribution, as opposed to us trying to compete for them to sell their products. That makes sense.
So, okay. So we're saying the distribution business is a good business. Did you luck into that business, or did you, when I say luck, you obviously had all this background, right? As an executive, did you like fall into this distribution business, or did you choose this like, hey, this is the path I'm going to go. This is the great product. We got great profit margins. I have a skill of this. Did you apply it that way, or did it just, you kind of went into that business and woke up one day and go, damn, I'm really good at this?
No, a little background. So I didn't graduate college. My dad, my grandfather started a boat business, first generation from Lebanon. Get some water.
Sure.
Is it one?
Those are yours, yeah.
Both mine. Okay. So my grandfather started a came over first generation, started a gas station,
Okay.
like most Lebanese people
Yeah.
did, and then was selling cars
Okay.
on there, and then started selling boats because they were more expensive than cars.
Okay.
And then went to the bank and started a boat business. It was very successful through the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And in 1978, he died.
Okay.
And but as a kid, I have fond memories of the business was right next to an amusement park, and if I wanted to go play pinball, I would say, Pappy, I would call him and give me a quarter, and he'd say, sweep the floors.
Yep.
So you sweep this section, I'll give you a quarter. Everything came with work attached to it.
Okay.
1978, you remember, my grandfather dies, my father takes over the business. And in 1980, we get in a fight with Iran Contra.
Okay.
No gas.
Okay.
Gas lines. Boat business gets lost
Okay.
completely. So I remember we went from having nice things, lived on a yacht on Martha's Vineyard, blah, 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 to nothing, zero. And eating tomato sandwiches. I remember saying, this is kind of strange, type thing. And my dad went started, he was a pastor.
Okay.
Started the church at the house.
Okay.
I went from that to a auditorium at the middle school, went from that to an office building, that to a church, built a church.
Okay.
And then when he retired from that, went back into the selling boats.
Okay.
So I just learned the value of hard work, and my dad brought the passion around, do to others as others don't do to you.
Okay.
Right. And that kind of, upbringing was all about giving.
Okay.
You give to receive, but you give first. Everything was about give.
Right.
Was a pot smoking, lazy kid, never had any direction.
Okay.
I would say minor troubled kid, nothing major. And didn't know what I wanted to do in my life.
Okay.
I ended up taking an entry-level job at the Shareholder Services Group, which is a Dreyfus Mutual Funds transfer agency. Started talking to financial advisors.
Okay.
I used to do service for this guy. I was like, this guy's really sharp, likes his job. I asked him what he did. He said, I got his Series 7. I asked him to get me a job. Long story short, I get a job in financial services sales. Went into leadership.
Okay. And
then that sort of promoted a lot of what then became the skill set. Now, what I thought in leadership is you're always trying to get better. And I was super, super competitive and really, really hardworking. It was my rock, and I was never going to give it up because I didn't feel like I should have had it to begin with. It's like Tom Brady with a chip on his shoulder, right? You're drafted 199th, you're in the 6th round, but once you give me that rock, I'm never giving it back.
Okay.
And that's the way I felt.
Okay.
And when I got that rock, when I got that shot without a college degree, that was my shot. And I told everybody I was going to kill it. And I did. And I was really, really good at being a field leader.
Okay.
I learned the principles of norms and culture from Teresa,
right?
How to manage the processes, the businesses, by Larry. I was number 1 in the country for a number of years. In leadership and financial services, the pendulum swings in business, right? It used to be all for leadership, and I was all for that, and I was the best at it. And then it went away from leadership, and I didn't want it to go. They didn't value leadership. Most of financial services companies today don't value leadership. They want to pay you less. They want you to do more. They want to change your goals every single year. And they make you believe that you're a liability on the balance sheet. That's the way I felt. And I believed that. So, I was happy to make $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year, and you make a good living and get some stock, and you do okay, right? But it was when my wife gave me permission to fail that I applied and I just was trying to replace my job.
Right.
I was just trying to make $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year. I said, a couple of years I can break even. Never knew that the value that leadership that would provide to others and me was so much worth way more money than they ever made me believe it was. And we need leadership in this country. We need leadership for the young people. We need leadership. Everybody needs to be led. Everybody needs to be coached. And that value of how much it's worth is unbelievable.
This passion that you have for this generation. Where does that come from?
Observation.
Okay.
I don't think what if you and I were chatting and we were talking about that, people would say they're lazy, they're entitled.
Yep.
They spend too much time on their phone, and they're disconnected from reality with people and all this stuff. And you've been on my calls. There's 650 kids, and they're not kids, they're young adults. They're dressed to the nines. They have their cameras on, taking notes.
Right.
They thirst. They just want to be told how to get better.
Yeah.
And when they see what better looks like for them in their life, that exposure that you talked about before, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
And that's leadership.
Yep.
Right. I always say to people, don't take advice from people who love you the most. They can't give you objective advice.
Right.
And if they've never been where you want to be, or even worse, where you're capable of being, but somebody's trying to limit your beliefs, you can't listen to those people. You need to get coaching from people that see you in a way of what you're capable of. And the biggest decision that you make is that you just decide that you're capable of it.
Right.
My wife decided, which gave me the permission to fail, that we could build something great and that I was better than everybody else that I had trained or developed.
Yeah.
And that if I took a flyer on myself, that she was my ride or die.
Yeah.
And what that would turn into would be something special. We didn't know.
Yeah.
Today we do. And we're happy that we made that decision.
So she, if you define leadership as, let's just say, affirming and validating the worth and potential in another person.
Love that.
In so clear a way, they begin to see it in their own self.
Yeah.
Right. She did that for you.
She did.
Because you were literally, this is baffling if you're following the story, that you were trying to replace 600 grand.
That's right.
And you built a company worth over 300 million.
That's right.
Or more. And it's like, and it's like at that time in your life, another person just said, you can do this. Let's go do it.
Yeah.
And that flipped a switch in you.
That's right.
That activated your prey drive.
It gave me permission to fail.
Yeah.
Right. And the permission to fail was, look, if it doesn't work out, which, it's kind of crazy to think, we'll go bartend. I always thought I could always go be a wholesaler.
Yeah.
There's always a job in financial. I can do compliance.
Of course.
There's always something I could do and not be happy with it. And didn't know, didn't know. And, the first year I remember, 2017, there's a lot of bumps and, when you're trying to carve your own path, you're chopping down trees, and those trees sometimes fall back on you. And, not everybody wants a piece of you on the way up.
Yeah.
Right. And wants to stop you.
Yeah.
Because, you'll outgrow them.
So 2 final questions. You talked about kind of in the first 5 years, it was a kind of a grind, right?
Yes, sir.
What shifted that to where you go, man, I can do this different or better? You and I talked about quantum leaps earlier today, and it's like a person walked into your life and gave you some new information, or you met someone that introduced you. Like, what was because there's a lot of people probably watching this show, they hear me talk about the big table and they're like, I don't even know what they're out there going, I don't even know what the big table is for me.
Right.
It's like I've sat, I've settled, I've cemented.
Yeah.
and like, right. It's you back when you were trying to replace 600 grand.
Right. That's right.
But it's like something happened at that 5-year mark that caused you to try different or shift something. Was it a strategic pivot? Was it a breakdown? Was it like, I'm sick of doing it this way?
Like, a couple of things, actually. There was you go backwards. Again, always really good at eagerness over readiness, seeing something great in somebody, and then asking them to do something to help them grow themselves. Like that's been a skill set that I've had for a number of years. There was a point where we ran out of space, to be honest. Like we had rented 2,400 square feet in Tampa, and I had 40 people working, 45 people, 2,400 square feet, 1 bathroom, all dudes. And we were out of space. And at that point I was working really hard still, but I had people doing meetings. The meetings were in the parking lot. People are going to the bathroom in bushes. Like it's nuts. Right. And we had signed a 5-year lease. So I was like, oh shit. Yeah. We're 2 years into this thing. I got 3 more years. What am I going to do? So I tapped a talented guy on the shoulder and I said, hey, man, I'm going to send you to Orlando, close enough where I get my eyes on you.
Okay.
And I want you to run and build that organization. And I'm going to have you take 5, 7 people with you.
That's good.
They're going to be your management team. And I'm going to do all the systems that we do. And you're going to do everything I tell you to do. And he went up there that first year and failed miserably.
Okay.
So after year number 1, he hired 15 people and lost all of them in like 6 months. He learned a lesson from that. It was good. But the second year, he hired 25 people and kept them all.
Okay.
So now I had 2 producing offices. I had one in Tampa and I had one in Orlando. And he had a really, really talented guy by the name of Tommy, who's now my senior vice president. And they didn't get along. They would fight all the time. And Tommy was super talented, but he thought he was better than Nick.
Yeah.
Was not ready for the job, but he would never stay with me unless I was able to let that eagle fly. Okay. So I called him up one day and I said, hey, man, I know you and him don't get along. You're a very talented guy. I would like you to open an office in Jacksonville.
Okay.
So I said, I want you to move and take 3 guys with you.
Yeah.
He goes, fine. Today, it's my biggest, most productive office. And I learned something from this. It's like, okay, if you give people the opportunity through a clear vision,
right,
show them how they can go make $1 million themselves,
right,
give them ownership of their future and a little control about how they want to build their environment and culture, what they will do is amazing.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I tell the mini bike story as a kid. When I was a kid, I had like a little mini bike, a 50cc bike, 80. It was like maybe a CR80 or something like that. And a friend of mine got a 125. Yeah. Couldn't even touch. And I'm going, the bike's way too big for you. Yeah. And and when he first started going on, he's chunky and he's going around the woods. Well, give him 6 months and the kid's riding wheelies down the road and he handles this thing because he was given the opportunity to ride something at a seat at a bigger table.
Right.
And when they got that seat at the bigger table, your development progresses quicker. You learn more by experience.
Yeah.
So now just fast forward that. Once we had that model down, it was like, okay, then I got the team together and said, look, guys, we're growing something great. Right. We're growing something big. Where are we going next?
Right.
We're going to go to Miami. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the player. Then we get the team together, the guy in Miami, say, where are we going next? We're going to go to North Carolina. We're going to go to Georgia. We're going to go to Pennsylvania. We're going to go to DC. Right. So we start to plan out as a team. Yep. And then what everybody sees is, oh shit, I'm going to go now. I want to go to DC because the guy in Jacksonville makes $600,000 a year.
Yeah.
So, he started that from nothing 3 years ago.
Right.
So how do I go do that?
Yeah.
So then we have people fighting for those opportunities.
Nice.
And that's where that's that level 4 problem, which has been nice.
All right, let's finish with this. Next big play for you is the Greatness Lab.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's your big table. This is
my next big table move.
Explain that to the viewers and listeners.
Yeah. In financial services, right, you've got what I call dependent financial advisors, and you have what they call independent. Think of dependent like the Merrill Lynches of the world, right? The JP Morgans of the world. You think of independent like LPLs or the RIA. The problem with this is what's missing is that when you go independent, you become alone.
Okay.
And when you go dependent, you have too many rules and you want what the independent people have, but you can't get it.
Right.
And with the independent people want some of what the dependent people have and can't have it. And in the middle of that is interdependence. Okay. And that's the Greatness Lab is all about. So what I want to be able to do is to be a platform for people that can affiliate and get value from us on their terms, not on our terms. Okay. Right. So you want to own your own RIA, do it. You want to use ours, do it. Okay. You want to use our broker dealer, great. You want to get your own, great. Okay. You want to do your insurance with us, great. You don't want to, great. You need help and support with bookkeeping, compliance, marketing. Yep. But you don't want to affiliate with us and move 4,000 accounts, you don't have to. Okay. Right. So this is really an opportunity for us to provide community and coaching to people that are in financial services that have lost that are alone. Okay. Right. That want to be part of something bigger, to get coaching through me and you and the team that we have, that want a seat at the big table and that want to see their production go from 500,000 to 5 million to 50 million. Yeah. If you come with an open mind
Yep.
and a desire to grow, and you just wanted the independence and the flexibility to do it on your terms, we are your place. And we're going to make some great things happen in this industry.
Yeah. Well, I love the concept. I see the structure in place, and I think it's going to be incredible. I think we're going to do it at a rapid rate. I think we're going to attract some of the best people in the world who are looking for that. Mm-hmm. And where do they go if they're interested in that? If they're interested in learning more about it, tell people where they can go.
Yeah, well, first look us up. Go to the greatnesslab.com. Check us out on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter. Message me. I'm easy to find. I'm the only Jason Mickool on the planet, which is good and bad. MickOol. Give us a call. Send us a note. We're here for you. Download some brochures. Check us out. This is going to be something incredible for the right type of person.
Yeah.
Right. And I hope you do is you find what most people will, which is a place that you can really scale your business and grow to amazing places.
And instead of, you said this last night, instead of producing to produce, producing to exit.
That's right. That's right. I think a lot of people produce or people that get recruited away or do stuff, they're like, oh, how much more production can I get you to do? Don't build a business based on your production. All of you make plenty of money that are listening to this. Scale the business to exit to the biggest multiple for you and your family. Yeah. So you build generational wealth for yourself. And that's what we're the best at.
Right.
The only reason I tell you that is, and I say this in the most humble way. I'm honored to have the opportunity to lead such a great organization. Yeah. And I say this to Grant, I said, you've never met anybody in 9 years who've built what I built.
Yeah.
Not in financial services,
that's
not
right.
ever.
Yeah.
And you show me somebody that's done it in 9 years. So nobody else can teach you how to do that because they've never done it.
Right.
The only person that can is the combination of great coaching and knowledge and expertise in order to be able to scale that business. Yep. And we'll do it on your terms.
Yeah.
But you got to be open to grow, and we'll help you grow.
And that, my friends, is the Big Table.
Thank you.
Another great episode. Thank you, Jason Mickool, for coming to the
Coach.
Greatness Factory. I'm excited about this new role, this new opportunity.
Wonderful.
With the Greatness Lab. We're going to do big things together. Remember that Big Table, folks, is if you're looking for a big table, first step is to get to the table, right? Get around the people and get around the right people and start doing the right things. That is how you get a seat at the big table. I'm Coach Micheal Burt here at the Level 10 Studios at the Greatness Factory. Make it a great day.